A global pandemic, rising construction costs, company personnel changes, all obstacles that have been overcome at Lebanon's Brakeman Building. The team from Forza and JG2 join us on episode 146 of the podcast to give us a closer look at the process and invite you to an open house on December 13th from 3 until 5 p.m. Episode 146 of the Lebanon podcast starts now.
Welcome to the Lebanon podcast, highlighting all the great things happening in Lebanon, Indiana. Have an idea for an episode? Send an email to lebanon@lebanon.in.gov.
Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of the Lebanon podcast. I'm Joe LePage, the Community Development Director here in the city of Lebanon. If you check out our social media feed, odds are you can expect to see some great pictures of a pretty great building, and we've got some great details to pass along. We're talking about the Brakeman Building. If you're getting off I-65, you're heading north and you're coming downtown, there is a building that will catch your eye, and there's going to be some fantastic things in it. And to help educate us what those things will be, team members from Forza, we've got Megan Anderson and Mike Keenholtz. Guys, thanks for joining us here on the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
And we've also got a full Zoom room. Also, we've got Tiffany Brewer, Jessica Kane, and Veronica Holliday of JG2 companies. Guys, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, and we've got Brianna Mack. She's in the background. We're not going to ask her any questions, but if she wants to jump in right now and say, hey, she can do that.
Hey,
yeah,
thanks for having me.
There we go. So, guys, overall excitement and Team Forza, Megan and Mike, just this process has been one that has been full of ups and downs, but man, there's certainly an up right now and a buzz that's being felt when this Brakeman Building gets ready to open, which will be in the very near future. How exciting is it for you guys to kind of see this thing come to fruition, get ready to open its doors?
I started with Forza just exactly a year ago, so I came into a project in process with the idea of finishing it out and making it a great project for everybody involved. This represents the culmination of my first large project with the company, but for the company, it represents 5+ years of work to get to this point where we have a nearly complete building in downtown Lebanon.
And everybody listening, you may know already, but this is significant because there have been other apartment buildings and new apartment buildings take place downtown, but this is one that has been a mixed-use building. So on the first floor, primarily, there will be some different elements in it, along with the people living in the upper floors. And so we'll have a few details a little bit later on in this pod about what's happening on the first floor. And team from JG2, if you guys don't mind, how fun and how challenging at the same time has it been, Tiffany and Jessica and also Veronica, to be able to try to find just the right people to complement such a great building to be added to the main thoroughfare within the Lebanon community?
I think that it honestly has been a great experience. The building is magnificent, so trying to find people equal to that might have been a little difficult, but I think we have accomplished the feat. Very excited to see it finished.
And I can tell you, it was like, Taylor Swift is a big celebrity. And if she were to walk in, it would be a big deal. But when the Brakeman sign was going up on the side of the building, that was a showstopper, not of Taylor Swift's significance, but it was significant, no doubt, in our community as well. But if we can kind of get into the kind of Brakeman type name was put forth because of its proximity to the railroad. It was right there. Brakeman is helping to work on the engine. But if you look not far from where the Brakeman Building is located, guys, and I'm not sure if this is more so a Forza team question or a JG2 question, but there's a marker there and there is historical significance that is pretty visible when you're right near that Brakeman Building, right, guys?
There is right next to the building a plaque for Abraham Lincoln en route to Washington, D.C. When he was en route to become the 16th president, there was an address that he gave there at that location, just off the back of a railroad passenger car.
And those of us here also know that sadly after making those remarks, he headed out to the East Coast and then came back after being shot. And it was one of those chances for folks to pay their last respects to President Lincoln. And so there's some tremendous history here. And it's great to see some of that history honored continually here in Lebanon, and then being able to have a great building there nearby as well. Folks from Team Forza, Mike and Megan, what kind of challenges did you guys have when the Brakeman Building was going along in the construction type phases? Mike kind of get into that this was kind of a 5-year effort, and this was something that was significant, and there were, as I mentioned earlier, some highs and lows with that. Maybe some of the challenges that were faced along the way as we get ready to celebrate that culmination of having the building be open?
The Brakeman definitely has had some unique challenges associated with it. With a project that has a life cycle as long as this one does, that survived a global pandemic and more staffing changes along various people involved in the project than anyone can count at this point, the continuity of intent and being able to deliver a building that matches what the original idea was back so long ago without any of the original people who were involved in crafting that idea involved has definitely been a challenge. You take on top of that everything associated with doing business in general or construction specifically in 2023, from material shortages to inability to get raw materials to make commodity products that people had never conceived of the idea that you wouldn't be able to get things like this. We've faced all of those issues in building the building, and a lot of those issues speak to the extended timeline and the great excitement we have to actually be getting close to having this building wrapped up.
Well, other than all those things like a global pandemic and turnover and things, it's pretty easy, right? I'm just kidding. But how great a sense of pride does it bring, and just a sense of accomplishment to be able to have all those things, as you mentioned, Mike. And my goodness, I mean, a laundry list of things and obstacles and challenges, to be able to meet those and to be able to deliver a product like this. The way that it looks is just breathtaking. It's got to be a sense of accomplishment to be able to get the job done.
Yeah, thank you. And we're knocking on wood when we're talking about getting the job done, because we're almost there, but not quite yet. So in the spirit of not jinxing things, just in general, that's one of the reasons why I've chosen a career in construction. I've worked in commercial construction around Indianapolis for around 20 years. And my wife hates it. And as cheesy as it sounds, I love driving around town and seeing buildings that I've worked on. Mm-hmm. So to be able to drive into downtown Lebanon and see this building that the designers, before I ever became involved, working with the city of Lebanon to design a building that, while it is new and bright and shiny, it doesn't look out of place. It's not monolithic. It looks like it fits in the downtown aesthetic. It's a huge sense of accomplishment. And, just from a construction professional's perspective, to take over a project that somebody else started with a contractor that somebody else hired to build a design that somebody else came up with, and land all those somebody else's planes will be a very big sense of accomplishment for me.
And you mentioned we're knocking on a big block of wood. You could say we're in the red zone. We haven't scored yet, using the football analogy here, but we're in the red zone. We got a scoring opportunity here. We talking like last minute finishes in the construction process? Are we on those final phases, kind of the last few yards before we get into the end zone, Mike?
Yes. As far as construction in the building, yes. And one of the challenges associated with this is it's always more complicated than nailing the boards together in the field. So we have some challenges in the building that we're racing, and we've got some challenges in the paperwork world that we're also trying to get buttoned up and make go away before anybody else notices it.
Gotcha. Everybody, we're talking with Tiffany Brewer, Jessica Kane, and Veronica Holliday of JG2 Companies. And we're also talking with Megan Anderson and Mike Keenholtz. They are of Forza, as well as Brianna Mack, kind of directing the traffic behind the scenes. We've kind of talked about the outside of the building, and you guys have painted a great picture. We've talked kind of about the history as well. But let's talk about some of the things that are going inside the building. An open house is coming up Tiffany, how excited are you guys to be able to open this building up? And Jessica, Veronica, feel free to jump in as well from JG Squared. But how excited are you guys to be able to show off the interior of this great building and being able to have people occupy it?
Oh my gosh, I can hardly contain myself, honestly.
I can't tell.
We have gotten to go into the building, but nobody else has. So I am just so excited to be able to show everybody how beautiful it is. Anything brand new is great, but the floor plans are wonderful. It is just very exciting. I can't wait to take people touring through it.
And rumor has it there's an open house coming up for folks to maybe mark on those calendars to be able to check it out for themselves.
Absolutely. We are going to have an open house, invite everybody in the community. We would love everybody, just even if you're not looking for a place to live, come down and check it out. You definitely will not be disappointed. We are going to be having some food catered in. We did want to keep all of the money per se in the community. So we've hired local people to supply that. So yeah, we're very excited to show everybody around and feed them and all that good stuff. The apartments are great. They all have beautiful stainless steel appliances. Every apartment is equipped with its own washer and dryer, which I think is a huge thing. Something else that really tickles my fancy is that we are going to have a valet trash service. So you never actually have to walk to the dumpster if your heart does not desire so.
For those people, that's their favorite thing. That's going to be a bummer. But for everyone else in the world, that's going to be just fine. So how's that going to work then? You just kind of set it outside your door. You take it downstairs. How does that work?
Absolutely. Every night, 5 nights a week, you will just simply put your trash can outside of your door between the allotted hours. If you have a 2-hour time frame every evening, and valet trash will come through, pick it all up, and dispose of it for you and leave your trash can for you in the hallway.
That is awesome.
It's a great feature.
That is awesome. Along with the valet trash guys, there's going to be ample parking there as well for the tenants within the Brakeman Building, but also those who come and visit, right? Plenty of parking available?
Absolutely. There is a private parking lot in the back of the building for the people of the building. And then there is also additional parking located across the street, as well as a few spots located right in front of the building. The back parking lot of our building will be designated for only our multifamily housing residents. So that is only for them. And then we also have the overflow, which is located across the street and in front of the building as well.
And different options that are there as well. You talked about all the finishes and all the wonderful amenities that come with living in the Brakeman Building. We're talking 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, all those things, a lot of options available for people who want to live there.
We are going to have 2 different studio apartments, 2 different studio floor plans, I should say. We are going to have 3 different 1-bedroom floor plans, and then 4 different 2-bedroom floor plans, 2 of which actually have 2 baths in them. And they really are beautiful. Options
abound, right?
Love it. Yes, you've got to have options.
Absolutely.
We are a pet-friendly community, and we welcome everybody's furry friends. I tell everybody, if you want to live in this beautiful community, call me today because it is going quick. So give me a call. Absolutely. We're accepting applications and approving people, getting the leases signed.
Everybody, we're talking with Tiffany, Jessica, and Veronica with JG Squared, and we're talking with Megan and Mike from Forza here on the Love in Lebanon podcast. I'm your host, Joe LePage. Now, if we can kind of talk about first floor, folks, there has been, I know, Mike, we talked about being in the red zone, not quite scoring, but can we release that there is downstairs on the first floor, there is one of the 2 spaces that will be retail or something along those lines. There is some news to share. Are we allowed to share that? Can we do that?
We do have a tenant going into half of that commercial space. It is Vina Nail Lounge, and that will be opening spring of 2024.
Excellent. So one half of the commercial space, or one of 2 options in that commercial space, Vina Nail Lounge Banquet. Now, as far as the other commercial space, what happens there? I know we've kind of talked about just the joys and the unique blueprint that's taking place, the roadmap to be able to occupy the second space as well. How fun is that to be able to field and look for just the right tenant to be able to complement a nail lounge to be able to have in the first floor space of this mixed use building on the main thoroughfare in Lebanon?
We are working with McCrae Property Group. We are looking for another tenant for the rest of that space. We do have several prospects. But again, for folks that are interested in the commercial space, please call McCrae Property Group. Their number is 317-663-8446.
We'll add all the info for McCrae Property Group to the body of this podcast. So if you're listening and you'd like to learn more and be able to possibly occupy that second half of the commercial space, get it while you can, because once the thing's rolling down the track, pun intended, with it being a Brakeman building right along the former rail line, things will go quickly for sure.
It's coming right along.
Well, guys, thanks so much for joining us here on the pod. I appreciate it. Maybe the next episode we record together will need to be on location, as we do here on the Love and Lebanon podcast, and we broadcast from the Brakeman building within the friendly confines. So
I look forward to it.
if you guys
Sounds
are
good.
willing.
That would be great.
And thanks, everybody, for listening to this episode of the Love and Lebanon podcast. More episodes are coming your way soon.